I didn't move to Reno because of taxes. I mean, obviously, yes, that's a real thing. But that's not what actually changed. What changed is harder to explain. And honestly, I really didn't understand it until about 2 years after I left. This video is not about the money math. You can find that anywhere. This is about the stuff that really surprised me. The items I didn't see coming. The ways my life actually felt different, and the direction that I didn't expect. Some of it was great, and some of it caught me completely off guard. And one of them, I'm still not sure how I fully feel about it, but we'll get to there. Quick context if we haven't met, I'm Rayner. I'm a broker in Nevada and California, and I've been helping families relocate to Northern Nevada for over a decade. I made this move myself back in 2015 from California, so I'm not guessing what this transition actually feels like. I've been through it myself. And the people who reach out to me aren't actually asking the question about square footage. They're actually asking me whether their life would feel different somewhere else. Let's talk about the mental bandwidth, because that's the part that you're spending and didn't realize it. And the first thing that changed wasn't financial. It wasn't even logistical. It's much quieter than that. I stopped thinking about traffic as a planning activity. That sounds ridiculous, but in the Bay Area, traffic's not just inconvenience. It becomes a complete scheduling system. You reverse engineer everything and try to plan it for when you can and cannot move through the city. You start budgeting mental energy the same way you would your finances. I didn't realize how much my brain was permanently allocating for this until it wasn't. Like the first few months in Reno, I kept leaving the house way too early because I had mentally added 40 minutes of buffer that didn't exist anymore. I showed up for things unnecessarily punctual. It was very exhausting. But here's the real version of this, and I think this resonates with a lot of people who contact me. California has a low-grade hum to it. It's a background stress that just becomes your baseline. And when you're in it, you don't hear it anymore because it's just a constant. I remember the first time I sat on my back porch on a weekday morning, and it was just quiet. I genuinely did not know what to do with myself. I think I stood there being kind of suspicious of it for the first few minutes. Nevada ranks among the lowest states for overall stress index in multiple quality of life surveys. In contrast, California ranks in the top 5 most stressed states due to the cost burden and commute times. The stress wasn't dramatic. Nobody was yelling and nothing was on fire. It was just the ambient weight of living somewhere that's expensive, crowded, and constantly demanding more and more of you. That weight lifts when you leave. You don't realize how heavy it is until you're not carrying it anymore. Now, mental bandwidth is a subtle one. The next change was one I could actually measure, but it showed up in a way that I was not expecting. Money starts feeling different, and that's weirder than it sounds. I expected to have more money after the move. That was kind of the point. What I didn't expect is how strange it would feel. When you spent years living in a state where the cost of everything is calibrated to feel like you just barely under what you can handle. You develop a kind of financial defense posture. You stop making discretionary decisions without doing mental math first. Every purchase gets a background assessment. And then you move somewhere where your fixed costs drop substantially. Your income doesn't change. Your taxes are lower, and suddenly you're looking at your accounts going, wait, that's still there? It takes a while to trust it. A client I worked with relocated a couple years ago, her words, not mine. She said it felt like financial anxiety she had carried so long that she thought it was just her personality. My wife Cindy has over 3 decades of escrow and lending experience coupled with my 2 decades. We've processed more transactions than most people have had hot meals. She says the same few things pop up in almost every closing. For the first few months, people actually think there's something wrong with their bank account. Then they realize there's nothing wrong, they just have an additional margin that has not been there in years prior. Sounds like a nice problem to have, but psychologically, it takes a moment to adjust. Your brain's been trained to anticipate financial friction, and when it stops coming, there's a recalibration period. The median California household tax burden for state and property plus sales combined is among the highest in the country. Nevada has no state income tax. They have lower combined burden for almost every income level. Now, here's the honest version of this section because I promised I would bring it. Reno has gotten more expensive, significantly. Housing here is not cheap anymore, so if you moved here in 2018, congratulations, those prices are gone. But for most California households, especially if you're coming out of the Bay Area or LA, the comparison still lands because you're not walking into free. You're walking into better math. And that's a different thing, and for most families, it still lands. The money piece makes sense to a lot of people before they move. The next one almost nobody sees coming, but it's the one that I think about more than anything. And that is your identity shifts, and you have a say in it. Here's the one thing that surprised me personally the most. In California, a big part of how people define themselves, especially high earners, professionals, business owners, is proximity to scale. The city, the scene, the industry, and the network. You're in a room where things happen, and that part becomes part of who you are. When you move somewhere smaller, there's a moment, usually about 3 to 6 months in, where you realize that framing doesn't seem to fit anymore. And you have a choice. Some people spend years missing the identity they left behind. They spend all that time comparing what they used to have. So Reno doesn't have all the restaurants, the culture, the energy, and they didn't realize how much of their self-concept was geographic. Other people, and this is a more interesting group, replace the external scale with something internal. Less status tracking, more building actual things that matter to them. With more time outside, more time with family, and more intentional use of that schedule that used to be entirely consumed by survival logistics. And I'm not going to oversell this because it's not like moving to Reno officially makes you a Zen philosopher. The wind will still try to relocate your outdoor furniture into your next county twice a year. The smoke season is real, and Tahoe traffic on a holiday weekend has its own kind of test of character. But what I've noticed and what I hear back from a lot of people who have made this move, that all the external pressure to perform at a certain lifestyle at a certain cost level just goes away. And when it goes away, you find out pretty fast what's underneath that you really want. And for some people, that's uncomfortable. For others, it was the entire point. And in just a second, I'm going to tell you which one I was. But here's the stuff I didn't expect, both the good and the bad. Let me give you the real list. The things that nobody tells you about in the YouTube videos where some guy's paddleboarding with suspiciously perfect teeth. Here's the things that got better more than I expected. Financial breathing room, both real and significant. The commute. It's where I traveled from one end of town to the other in 20 minutes. I still find it a little unreal. Access to the outdoor recreation that actually exists close enough to use a normal Tuesday, not just on long weekend trips that we planned 2 months in advance. Here's a short list of what got better that I didn't expect, and that is knowing my neighbors. In California, I knew what car they drove. Here, I actually know their names. Having actual weekends where nothing has to be done and it's completely fine. The pace, which I would have told you I hate. I'm wrong about myself fairly regularly. But now on to the things that are genuinely worse or at least different. Reno's restaurant scene does still have a lot to improve on. But if you're a person with very strong opinions about your Wednesday night sushi, manage your expectations. Smoke season? Well, in August and September, it can be rough. It's real and variable, and I'd rather you know that before you're annoyed at me later. The wind, and I don't have a clever way to frame that. It's windy, your things will get blown away, and you will make peace with this, or you may not. Housing prices went up and inventory got significantly tighter. It's still a better deal than most of California, but we don't have those prices from 2019 anymore. I'd rather give you the real version now so you don't call me asking me about the weather in 6 months. So if you ask me if I would make this move again, yes, absolutely. Not because Reno's perfect, it's not. And not because I don't miss things about California, I do. Although I will say I see that list dwindling and shrinking year after year. It's because my life here feels lighter and less compressed. And those two things turned out to be worth a lot more than what I could actually dedicate on a spreadsheet. The stress I just thought was adulthood. It turned out it had a lot to do with the zip code. So if you're watching this and you're still doing late night Zillow math, or calculating what that commute actually cost you in hours out of your life, running the tax numbers wondering whether your quality of life would really be different somewhere else, then the answer is probably yes. But the question is whether that difference is really what you're looking for. And that conversation's worth having beforehand and not after you've already moved. So if you're ready to figure out whether Reno actually fits your life, not just the numbers, but the real version of that question, come find me at meetwithchris.com. No pitch, just an honest conversation. We'll pull up the Google Maps and lay all of this out for you. I'm Chris Rayner, your go-to realtor for all things Reno. We'll see you on the next one.